Alright guys, thanks for joining me. I'm trying this again. I recorded this once and the phone filled up and so I lost it, which just completely threw me off. So I literally sat down and took a nap, and it's kind of chilly, so I just got a blanket wrapped around me here. We're gonna do a Christmas loot pickups video here. Pretty much all this stuff can be considered Christmas gifts, but I did buy the anime, basically, I bought for myself on Sentai Filmworks sale on Black Friday. And one of the reasons why this video has been so long in the making is just waiting for this stuff to show up. The stuff I bought on that Black Friday didn't show up until just like a week ago, pretty much, right? So, totally fine, I understand we're in the middle of a pandemic, but that's why. So, here we have, something that's become a staple of my Christmas loot videos, I want to say, is some Warhammer 40,000 stuff. This is a really cool looking standalone game that my buddy, who I'm playing, Warhammer with, got me for Christmas, so thank you so much. This is the Aeronautica Imperialis Wings of Vengeance. So, these are not factions that, I play, or he plays even really, that I know of, or anything like that, but obviously this just looked like a fun standalone game. So, we've got the Empire and Space Orcs fighting in the skies, so I think that looks really cool. Looking forward to checking it out. Given that a play here, we've been playing over, like, Zoom, so he has his own copy of the game, and I have my own copy of the game, so we can both play it. So, next up, this is what started my, video that I did last time about expanding my collection, my physical movie collection a little bit, especially from like the 80s and the 90s. I tend to really like this kind of just fun, interesting B-movie. This is Night of the Comet. For some reason, I just really love this movie. I watched it, again as soon as I got this, and there's some cool commentary tracks on here. This Blu-ray edition too is pretty cool. It's by Scream Factory, which I want to assume might be a imprint of Shout Factory. I'm not really sure, but they seem to have done a pretty good job on this. It doesn't have any special packaging or anything, which is fine. But it has like an all-new commentary track with these two lead actresses here. These two ladies, and in particular, just sort of this trio here. I think it's not necessarily like the acting is, especially like top tier or something, but they bring something to this movie. They talk about that a little bit in their commentary, where they just became like such good friends. Like they've pretty much been, lifelong friends, since they made this movie, right? It brings something to this. The writing too, I think, is good in this. The actresses are Kelly Maroney and Catherine Mary Stewart. Catherine Mary Stewart having been on The Last Starfighter. If you guys remember that, that's where you might recognize her from. So this is kind of a post-apocalyptic-ish, zombie-ish movie, right? It's fun. There's a comet that's coming by. I feel like it was sort of wrapped up with the Halley's Comet, which came by in the 80s, and everyone was excited about seeing, because it only comes by every, 10, 20 years, or 50 years, or something like that. You don't get a chance to see it very often. I guess it's got to be more than 10 years. I think it is more like 50 or 60 or 100 or something. So it's kind of a big deal that it was coming by. So this is like another comet is coming by that we didn't even know existed, but it's on this big orbit. And so once we know that it's coming, everyone goes out to see it, and something happens. So you guys should check this out. It's a really fun movie, and I'm looking forward to adding more movies like this to my collection. I did see this back when I was a kid, so I kind of have that connection to it. I am interested in finding other movies, of a similar quality, if I can, that I also will enjoy. Just to add to my collection now. Of course, I got some Pokemon. Now, this was more like with Christmas money. My dad got me a gift card to Best Buy, and so I actually was able to get one of these from Best Buy. The other one they didn't have, so I got it elsewhere. But this is uh, when I got X, Y, and XYZ, I was like, oh, I'm missing some Pokemon, and this is what it was. It's actually XY Kalos Quest. Um, there are let's see, 23 and 22 episodes respectively. So this is like the full, like a big whatever this is, a 45 episode season, and it's Pokemon. I'm really enjoying still watching this silly animation, but I did notice that they've rebooted the series recently, and I think it's just Sun and Moon, and then it goes into this. They kind of actually restart. I think they even restart with Ash Ketchum, right? Which is just it's interesting. The animation can't get away from Ash Ketchum, but I think that's okay. Kind of like he's the face of the animation for me, but I think that's kind of my cue to like stop buying Pokemon anime, right? We'll see. But once I get through Sun and Moon, I don't even know they haven't released the new one on physical media yet. I don't think Sun and Moon they still haven't finished releasing that. I think that'll be it. I've been doing this for 20-25 years, maybe something like that, getting these Pokemon anime. Um, it might be time to hang that up, but I think it'll be nice to feel as though I've kind of finished this collection, and so this is one step toward that, getting very, very close. Next is a gift that I got from one of my buddies, Everybody's Golf. So this is really fun. You guys know that I like Hot Shots Golf. I've talked about that before, and I do feel like it got a little stale, right? You would have maybe multiple installments of Hot Shots Golf on a single platform generation and things like that, and I didn't necessarily like keep up with the series. But I don't know if in spirit of maybe rebooting also this series a little bit, it's the name has changed to Everybody's Golf, which is much closer to the Japanese title Mina no Golf. Pretty much means Everybody's Golf. Um, but yeah, I'm sure my buddy remembered that he and I enjoyed playing this game back in the day, and yeah, it's like I can play it on PlayStation 4. This seems like just my speed these days, right? I don't want to play intense, shocking, whatever games. This is laid back and fun. That's what I'm about right now. Next we have this is a Blu-ray that I got specifically for myself with the full confidence that I would absolutely love this movie. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I'm kind of deep into superhero stuff, Marvel stuff right now with that game, Marvel Strike Force that I'm playing, the mobile game. So I was like, I'm gonna get this. I'm just gonna own this. I kind of regret that, actually. Out of all these things, this is the only thing that I think I have any regrets about. It's not so much I didn't like the movie either. I enjoyed it. I think I especially like the story with the main character, Miles, his dad, his uncle. It's good, and it's very Spider-Man and stuff like that, and I enjoyed it. But I think the other stuff, somehow it just it had this feeling of like, the best I can describe it is that it's just for people younger than me, I think, I feel there was something about this sort of tongue-in-cheek way. They're like, oh, okay, well, here's the little story for this, but it was like, let's just get to the good stuff, And I was kind of thinking, like, what was the good stuff that they were getting to as they're just sort of glossing over, like, I don't know, Peter Parker, and it's the Spider-Verse, so they're bringing in all these characters. They're kind of doing homages to, like, the other live-action movies and things like that, which is cool, and Spider-Man in other media. You get, like, Spider-Ham and stuff like that, which I remember, like, kind of a parody thing from back when, and you had like the Gwen as Spider-Woman and some other Spider-Mans that I'm not as familiar with, but just something about the way all that stuff was handled. I think that I sort of feel like the good stuff, that it wanted to focus on more was just honestly like kind of flashy, like animation and action and stuff, which is great, but I just didn't care, right? I think at this point, like it wasn't. I felt like it was missing some other things that I wanted more in this, in favor of like having like bright, flashy stuff happening on the screen, right? Um, I don't know. That was just my opinion watching it for the first time. So I was a little disappointed. Not that I didn't like the movie. I thought it was really good, but I would have rather just like seen it in the theater and then been like, okay, I don't, I saw that it was good. I don't need to own it on Blu-ray. And now I own it on Blu-ray, and I kind of like want my $18 back. I don't know. Um, that's just how I feel about it. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought of Into the Spider-Verse. If that's something that you'd want to own personally. Something I do want to own is Himoto Umano-chan. I watched this. It's open as soon as I got this. Again, and it's great. It's what I like about it. Really watching it a second time is I was impressed with the fact that it's a slice of life show, right? And I think that that's what's fun about it. The gimmick is that you have a brother and a sister who are living together. The brother is like, fully kind of accepted the responsibilities of being a, sort of productive member of society. He's just kind of devoted to his work, coming home, doing some cooking, doing some cleaning, just kind of like, living his adult life and just sort of like kind of being chill with that and taking care of his sister. I think maybe their parents passed away or something like that, and she's still, at this point 16, but they'd been living together for a few years. She probably moved in when she was, 13 or 14 or something like that. And his sister, has this outward appearance that she keeps up, right? And she's also this big Mary Sue character. So, when she goes to school, she always scores like top of the class and gets 100% on her tests, and everybody thinks that she's, wonderful, and she is super good at sports and all of this stuff without trying. But then she comes home and she's this like complete slob who just wants to sit around and like eat snacks and play video games and like manipulate her brother for attention. And, obviously it's ridiculous, but it works out really well. They something about this, like they don't, because they don't lean too much into like her manipulation of her brother, and eventually it's really just sort of more about like side characters that come in and their daily life and things like that, and somehow they're able to maintain this really good like comedy that goes on with really just these two characters and a few extra characters that come in. It's a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed this. Unfortunately, I don't know about the second season. I'm not really sure. I know it was exclusive to Amazon, and I don't know if there's a physical. At the very least, I don't think Sentai Filmworks has released a physical version of this, so we'll have to see. But yeah, love that show. Next, a gift from my brother. So this is something that I was interested in. I gave them a little list of a couple things, and he picked this off of it. But he was saying, it's like, man, this is one of my favorite games, right? Final Fantasy VII. And I think I've told you guys before, I have never played this game. I did watch one of my friends play quite a bit of it, and I have played like some of the mini games in it, because he had it, and I was playing like the snowboarding and stuff like that. I remember from this game, but I've never gotten to experience the story for myself. So I'm pretty excited, that they're doing these remakes. This, I think, is only like 1/3 of the game, so they're gonna have another couple of these games, hopefully. But it looks really great. I only popped it in for like 45 minutes or something like that. But what I played of it seems fun. It looks nice. It's something that like I said, I want to enjoy the story. I want to enjoy the characters. I want to just sort of get to know what it is that people love so much about this game. I decided to play the kind of classic mode for the battle, I figured that it might resemble a little bit more. The first game I think was a turn-based game, kind of, right? Like kind of like the older games. Um, it doesn't feel exactly turn-based. I think it kind of like auto plays a little bit, but then you sort of like do sort of like an action RPG where you then you sort of trigger attacks and things like that. It almost reminds me of that mobile game that I'm playing, honestly, because I put that on auto a lot, but I'll influence how the battle goes. So I feel like this is a little bit similar. So anyway, I'm mostly just really looking forward to enjoying the story in this. So hopefully that's really good. Next up, we have Naked Lunch on Blu-ray. So another movie added to my physical movie collection, live action movie collection. This is a really good movie. This is one of my favorite movies. It was on my like whatever 20 top movies of all time kind of a thing. And it's funny too. Like I feel a little bit right now like I'm not 100% like broke like I was maybe a year or two ago. I mean, I wasn't really 100% broke then, but like I'm just like I can't, I can't be spending money on stupid stuff. Um, I still shouldn't be spending money on stupid. I mean, just in general, like you have to prioritize, right? But it was interesting because right now I'm like, okay, like it's important I think to look at money as kind of a precious resource. And when I was looking at these, getting some more movies and things like that, I was tempted to just get some stuff, even that I've seen and I know I enjoy, or maybe try some new things so I could watch some new stuff. But we kind of saw how it went with the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, right? Like, it can be a good way to watch stuff, but maybe you get something in your collection where you're like, I don't really need that in my collection, right? So, anyway, I've had an opportunity to just think about like what medium kind of means something to me, and I think that this kind of does. I really like this. It's My buddy in high school was really more into William Burroughs than I was. He kind of got into William Burroughs. He introduced me to this movie. This is directed by David Cronenberg, who does a lot of body horror, a lot of really interesting movies, and so this kind of like fits in with that, right? But William Burroughs is kind of was an interesting person, right? He was kind of a beatnik poet, right? Which is something I'm not super familiar with, but I get the impression that like he was very much influential and sort of like instrumental in I don't know, just maybe exposing and writing about this really kind of counterculture of the 1950s and into the 60s and stuff too. Um, the book, the novel Naked Lunch, was published in 1959, and it's really about like he would write about drug addiction, and he was queer, and like all of that was, I think, just sort of very baked into like what he was writing about. And I got Naked Lunch on Kindle just the other night because I was like, I've never read that book, right? And I've only just started it, but I do really enjoy it. Actually, it's there's a lot of slang, sort of from that time, and from this sort of, these almost, communities, I think, maybe that he was a part of, or just this, this place that he was coming from. And so, like, the book actually has to like explain some of the slang sometimes, because it's hard to follow anyway. It's almost a little bit surrealist, but no matter if the narrative is difficult to follow, I think the writing itself, the prose, it's very lyrical, right? I mean, I think he is a poet, and so it comes across very poetically, and so it's very fun to read. One of my favorite authors is William Gibson, and I think maybe to a lesser extent, like he is the same way. Like he can write, he'll just write about this mundane thing, but it's so enjoyable to read because just what he does with the words is um, it's very fun to read. The words themselves, right? They just come out very beautifully. And so I'm enjoying just starting to read Naked Lunch. And, this movie stars Peter Weller, who was, of course, in RoboCop, which is my favorite movie of all time. So there's that kind of connection. But, the cast is very good. This also has, I believe it is the late Ian Holmes, if I'm remembering that correctly, who was in, like the Lord of the Rings movies as Bilbo and things like that. I'd seen him in other things. He's a great actor. And, it's just, I William Burroughs himself, I feel like, is someone who has influenced people who have influenced me, right? He's sort of been important to people who have been important to me. He did collaborations like in the 90s with Kurt Cobain, right? Kurt did this, again, sort of really surreal, really beautiful guitar backing track to William Burroughs reading one of his short stories, which was really interesting. He collaborated with Al Jurgensen, right, on Just One Fix. With Ministry, he collaborated with the Revolting Cocks, So that's another thing where I think there's this connection where I know like he was important to people who I look up to or who have influenced me. And this is just a very cool movie. I'm really interested to finish up the novel, and also to like listen to the commentary tracks and stuff too. This is a Criterion Collection Blu-ray, so kind of also like that Scream Factory Blu-ray there. They don't like skimp out on the kinds of details that you would like in a release. There's a it's director approved edition and stuff too. There's a commentary track featuring David Cronenberg and Peter Weller, which I can't wait to listen to. Right, I think that will be just so much fun. So if you guys haven't seen this movie, obviously I don't know if Criterion Collection like holds any weight with you, but I've always found that as I don't know what they are, just a publisher, or they'll do editions of these physical media. They're always very selective about picking movies, I guess films that are just kind of significant in some way, and doing really interesting releases of them. So if that tells you anything, I think if you haven't seen this movie, it's by far it's really worth seeing. Next up, we have Botoms. Now, so this was part of that Sentai Filmworks sale, which I've said before. I always feel like I'm mugging them when I buy stuff from it, and you'll see why. That Himoto Umaru-chan that's the full 12 episode series, and that was a good deal and stuff. But I got two large sets, and these in particular, like, again, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I got so much value out of this. Even that, though, I think this was $30. And I did ask on Twitter, hey guys, is this worth getting? And it's not really, is it worth $30? It's more just, is it worth watching? I've been aware of Botoms for a long time. It came out in the 80s, I'm pretty sure. But I've just never had an opportunity to see it. And I don't love giant robot stuff, but, I don't dislike it, and I like a lot of giant robot stuff. Nadesco in particular, which is a little bit more of a, in some ways, parody and satire of giant robot things. I think Evangelion is also, it's being kind of self-referential, maybe satirizing some of giant robot stuff too, but, I like kind of OG giant robot things too, like Macross and Gundam. I've seen a lot of Gundam and such. So, anyway, people responded and they're like, yeah, it's worth it. So I was like, okay. I haven't opened this yet. But this literally is like the whole 52 episode TV series, but that isn't even it. It's got a 39 episode OVA series, which is insane, and then there's also 6 movies. And so this is split between, I guess, SD and HD Blu-rays. I'm assuming the movies are probably HD Blu-ray, and then the TV and OVA series are probably SD Blu-ray, but don't quote me on that because I don't know. I didn't read. But this is, I mean, this is like probably hundreds of dollars worth of media here that I got for 33 bucks, or I don't know what. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, guys. One thing I am considering, though, is possibly doing some reaction videos. I know that's popular on YouTube right now, but, you know, I'm watching quite a number of reactors, you know, reacting to media. It seems like something that people are doing. Here's a movie that I haven't seen, here's an anime that I haven't seen, and then people are reacting to it. And I'm really enjoying that, so I wanted to see if you guys, I mean, I might just do it, but, like, I don't know, let me know what you guys think of that, but that might be content that's coming up just because I want to try that out. Botoms might be something that I do, right? I was asking for recommendations for especially 80s genre films in my last video. I might watch some of those 80s genre films, right, and react to them. So if I can figure out a way to just record that I think makes sense. So maybe look forward to that. Something else that I got for myself. Again, I would consider this a gift. I was given you know, some money and things like that for the holidays, and I got The Outer Worlds. I feel like this is one of those releases for me, and especially nowadays, because new games that are coming out, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm getting old, right? And I'm having anxiety issues, and I don't know if I can play some of these things, and I just don't know if I'm as interested in keeping up with the Joneses and such like that. I mean, it's for me. I enjoy gaming, but that's the thing, is I'm like, I don't always enjoy gaming as much these days, and I think what I do enjoy is some of the older stuff. But I watched someone play some of this, I think in a Let's Play on YouTube, and I was like, ooh, okay, that looks better than I was expecting. Because again, I think, you know, I like to, on YouTube videos and such, I like to, I think, let my positivity come out if I can, right? You know, and just talk about things that I love, talk about things that excite me. But in my media, sometimes I do like to let my cynical side come out, and then, you know, sort of enjoy satire and enjoy things like that. And I feel like this really, when I watched you know, an hour of gameplay or something like that, I just kind of wanted to stop it right there, because I'm like, ooh, I want to play this for myself, because I think I got that cynicism, you know, and that kind of poking fun at just, yeah, life, and even, you know, other that gets into a little bit more parody, but like poking fun at other games like this and stuff like that. It's not like being goofy, but like being sort of like, you know, some biting commentary, you know. I feel like was displayed, at least in the beginning of this game that I saw. So I'm really excited about this. This looks like a really great game, and of course it is by Obsidian. I have played other Obsidian stuff before that I do like. I haven't played New Vegas, really, which might seem interesting because I do really like the Fallout series as Bethesda has continued with it, right? And I really like those Bethesda Fallouts, so probably I should play Obsidian's, you know, Fallout entry, you know, modern Fallout entry as well. But I'm going to start with this. I think this looks super cool. Another live action movie. I think this is the last of the live action. We're getting down to the last of the things. The last of the live action movies. I did talk about this, I think, in an underrated movies from my childhood or something like that. That is the Beastmaster. This is a kind of a fancy release, right? And it seems like this is one of those things that's happening now, is you have I don't know. I guess these smaller companies that are doing these more premium releases for some of this stuff. Because this in particular and other movies sometimes I look for, I'm like, man, they got a release in, I don't know, this has a version from Spain, I think. But, you know, there'll be releases in other countries. And then in the United States, there's nothing. And I'm like, why, right? I mean, I kind of know why. It's because it's like a big market, and you have to print a whole bunch of a thing, and I know how that works too. Because if you get stuck with product you've made, like you need to sell all your product, right? Not only do you need to sell it all, it's good to sell it within a short time frame. So, I think we're gonna see probably more of these more limited releases, right? I don't know that I'm pleased with that, but I think if there are films that you really care about, right, then this is not such a bad way to go. In fact, it's kind of a great way to go because this wasn't even very expensive. Because I feel like for what you're getting, this was like $40 or something like that. I think it might retail for 60, but I got it directly from the site of the people that made this. It's Vinegar Syndrome, I think is what they're called, and yeah, and I think it was like 45 bucks. It was something, maybe it was even $50, but it was affordable for what this is. So anyway, let's get into the movie, right? Like, it's great. I've talked about it before, but it's a sword and sorcery film, but it's got so many like interesting, grotesque, kind of horror elements and stuff to it too, and it was just fun too. Like, it was also of that time when this was probably PG, but it's like it was such a different time for PG movies, right? PG was like made for not necessarily made for kids, but like appropriate for kids if like your parents were watching and could, like, I don't know, cover your eyes if they cared or something, And it was the 80s and they didn't care. They would do crazy stuff. So like there's brief nudity in this. There's a lot of weird, like people get killed, and there's human sacrifice, and there's just all kind, like there's creepy witches like spiriting babies out of people into animals, and it's just bizarre. It's such a cool movie. Um, but it's basically it's this barbarian dude who can like talk to animals. It's like Conan the Doctor Doolittle. It's this is the best movie ever. Man, I was so sad to find out too. I actually even mentioned to my stepdad. I was like, hey, like, guess what I got? Because he gave me some money, and I wanted him to know that I picked up this movie with it, and it's oh gosh, what's her name? The lady in this is oh, I want it to be on here. Anyway, she just passed away, and it's so sad. She wasn't that old. I mean, she's in her 60s. My mom was in her 60s and passed away. I mean, it can happen, but that's kind of young these days. It was really sad. Um, but anyway, this is another, um, fully featured, excuse me, Blu-ray release here, right? This, you can see, I think this is a 4K Ultra HD version. Now, I don't think I've got anything that does 4K. I don't know if the PlayStation 4 will like output 4K for this kind of stuff, but I don't even have a 4K TV. But this is kind of future-proof for me. It does include a regular Blu-ray. The cat has shown up. Hey, Maggie. Do you want to say hi to the camera? Here she is. She's come for Beastmaster, right? Because it has attracted her. There she is. But yeah, there's the same sort of thing, like good commentary tracks. You've got the Beastmaster Chronicles, a making of. It looks like there's an archival documentary too, so it seems like there's two documentaries. Alternate updated visual effects versions supervised by the directors. There's actually multiple versions on this. That's super cool. Wow, that's interesting. That's really sweet. Okay. And it comes with like this book, right? So I don't know exactly what is covered in here, But remembering the Beastmaster, that's something I think by the director. Um, you've got like posters, from different languages, things like that. Anyway, it's a very cool release, so I'm excited about that. I think that's great. I haven't actually tossed that in and watched that yet, but I'm gonna do that here pretty soon. Um, Next up, we have Patlabor. Now, this is like, well, what of Patlabor? This is all of Patlabor, okay? Um, this is another thing. Like, this was more like $60, I think, but seriously, this is like $300 worth of media right here. It is absolutely insane. It's the TV series, the movies, and the OVAs, kind of just like, Botoms, and there's just tons of stuff in here. I don't know exactly how long all of those things are, but it's sort of two sets. I think they had probably like all the TV series and all the OVAs with the movies or something like that, and then they just put it together, put a little paper sleeve around it, and sold it, and then put it on sale for like a ridiculous price. So I couldn't pass this up, right? Um, and yeah, Patlabor is something that I have owned various of these things in the past, and I've actually gotten rid of them. So, like, I don't want to say I'm a huge Patlabor fan. I actually do like it. I just, again, maybe kind of like Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse there, the Spider-Man movie. You can like something and not necessarily want to own it, because I feel like the ownership of a thing means that you want to re-experience it. And sometimes Patlabor, I've been like, well, I think I've experienced that enough, right? But considering this was such a good deal, and it has been a really long time, I would like to re-experience this. Especially since, I don't know if you follow my other channel, I do some fan translation stuff, and I dumped a script for the Patlabor game on the Mega Drive, which is also the Sega Genesis here in the United States. Um, and I'm interested in translating that script, and it's nice to like immerse yourself in the, the media and the lore and the story of these things sometimes, especially just to make sure you're getting a lot of terms and references and things like that correct. Hey, man, is she a good girl? You're a sweet kitty. So yeah, all of Patlabor. I'm actually really excited about this. I have seen this before, so this probably isn't anything that I would react to, but am interested in rewatching all of that stuff. And this, I guess, this is more or less my last pickup. Last thing I can physically show you here anyway is a single Japanese Dreamcast game. I got Balderforce EX. Now, I think that there was some kind of English language official release of some version of Balderforce, I think. It might be on Steam or something, I'm not really sure. Which I've kind of been meaning to check out, but I've been wanting to get this, Dreamcast version, partially just because I'm still considering the idea of trying to get a full Japanese Dreamcast collection. I do have a full North American collection, but we'll see. I did that video a couple videos back. Some of the games are expensive. One of them people are asking $300-400 or more, up to $500 for, and I'm just like, man, but just for that particular game too, because I remember when it was like, less than $100 a few years ago, right? So, it's rough, it's hard, but I also have games in my collection that have gone up to a couple $100 when they were much less when I got them, right? So I could conceivably sell some of those and use the inflated prices to pay for the inflated prices of a game like that. I don't know. Anyway, back on to this game. This is interesting because it's obviously it's very anime styled. It's published by Alchemist, so it's a PC port, I believe, which makes sense if maybe there is a PC version of this available in English. But it's labeled as a sci-fi action adventure game, right? And that kind of seems to be what it is. I watched a video about it. before, and it's kind of like you have these 2D sprites of giant robots. So this is more like giant robot stuff, and you're going around and you basically compete in what are effectively like arena battles. It seems like you just sort of have one screen and you're fighting against enemies and sort of zooming around. I think in an action, I mean that's what it was called, right? An action adventure game. But then you also, you kind of get to explore around too, like you're exploring a dungeon and stuff. It seems pretty cool. And then of course there is, just kind of adventure game like dialogue sequences and stuff like that. I do think this may have been an eroge. It even this version actually is Seto 18, which is pretty high, I think, for a Dreamcast release. I think most of the Dreamcast releases, even if they were from eroge, like are not rated 18 and up, right? But I don't know again, like if there's anything, I guess, as Orekan would say, anything particularly spicy in here. But I don't know. Maybe there could be, and I don't really think that there is though. But it just seems like a fun game, right? So I've been wanting it for a while. I got this. I wouldn't call it a deal, but I definitely didn't like just. I basically went through and priced out some stuff for the Dreamcast, and I was like, okay, what's more expensive and what can I get a reasonable deal on? This in Japan goes for like 40 to 60 bucks, right? And I got a version of this that was in the US, so it wouldn't have to come internationally for 60 bucks, right? So I thought that was fine. That was a perfectly reasonable deal. It was basically a deal in a way, because I wasn't paying international shipping and stuff like that. Like, so anyway, I hope that the person I bought this from didn't feel like I'd taken advantage of them or anything. But I offered them 60 bucks and they took it. So really glad to have that. And that's pretty much it. I did get something for my Game Gear, right? I really like having a physical Game Gear and a physical Game Gear collection. Part of me, though, speaking of fan translation, does kind of want a way to play my fan translated Game Gear games on something that approximates a Game Gear, right? So one of the best ways to do that would be to get an EverDrive type flash cart for the Game Gear, which I noticed that they just did another run of, and they are available through places like Stone Age Gamer and such. And I could get one of those and put ROMs on that and play them on my physical Game Gear. I've considered strongly getting one of those. There are also some really cool Game Gear mods now. You have, in addition to the McWill screen mod, there's another one like Magic Screen or something like that that has come out recently, and that looks quite nice. And I was considering maybe getting a screen replacement, especially since I've recapped my Game Gear a handful of years ago now, but it's in good working order. Something like a screen replacement would be good to do. But just kind of in that, like, what is a good thing to do with my money, right? They even have like colored shells and things like that seem like they're really nice that are available right now. So I could really trick out the Game Gear. There's like a complete audio board replacement and stuff like that. I could basically bring it up to spec so that it's a little bit more modern. It's customized. It has maybe an EverDrive, and I can play like my own Game Gear translations and stuff. But I put the brakes on all of that, and I said, you know what? Right now, the connector, the power connector is loose, and I have an AC adapter for it, and that's obviously the best way to play it. You don't really want to play it with batteries, although rechargeable batteries, you can do that. But I like just being able to plug it in, and there is a mod for a USB-C powered board to power the Game Gear, and I did order that. That's coming internationally. It's coming from the UK. It's going to take a while. Who knows if it gets caught up in customs. I'm just waiting on that, so I'm not able to hold up a little board, but I will have that for my Game Gear. that's standing in the way of me playing and enjoying my Game Gear right now. So once I have that, I can play it with the original screen with the games that I have in my collection, and that's fine. I have been considering getting maybe in lieu of that, in lieu of tricking out my Game Gear, which would cost hundreds of dollars, just getting one of those little Chinese knockoff, um, you know, portable game systems. There's one in particular that now is it's like about $100, and it actually runs Android, I think, which a lot of them run some, half-baked kind of custom OS. But this is like a little Android one, so it could use any emulators that are made for Android, and it seems good, right? And that could be something that would be a lot of fun for my Game Gear games. But I'm just scaling it back. You guys saw this stuff that I got. I don't know. That just seems like it's the stuff that's important to me right now. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my pickups video. It's 45 minutes here, so thanks for spending that time with me. And maybe I'll do some reaction videos coming up. We'll see, and I hope you'll join me again next time. All right, thanks for watching. Take care, guys. Bye bye.